Okay, so I need to not look there, I need to look here. Hmm. So how many Russian students are taking the class afterwards?
Afterwards, uh, I can tell how many Russian students in the chat.
No, I guess that's what I'm asking. Well, you record this and then because of the timing, the Russian students take it at a different day, right?
Oh, no, we are recording for the platform, I guess, and those who miss class, they can watch the recording. So for Russian students, it's very
Oh, no,
nice
I'm
time.
confusing. Yeah, I'm confusing the Lam teaching.
Oh, Lamrim. Yeah,
Yeah.
Lamrim, I don't know how many students are watching because like, yeah, it is publishing
Yeah.
in the
So
platform and in the chat, but I
yeah,
don't know how many.
you can't see how many. Okay. Well, it's 10 o'clock and here we are yet again. And I was just telling Svetlana, there'll be a little confusion because I'm using four displays. I've got three external monitors in my laptop. So this may be a little confusing for all of us, but I'm going to see if I can pull it off. So let's start with going for mandala. We'll start with mandala. So please make the mudra for the mandala. Oh, today I can make it. There's a, wow. I usually can't. This is, this is pretty cool. Here's the great earth filled with the smell of incense and covered with a blanket of flowers. Great mountain, the four continents, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryataya Me. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, compassion, knowledge, and strength, the Dharma, the enlightened side of truth, and the Sangha, the community of realized beings. From the virtuous merit I create from the practice of giving with the understanding of emptiness, moral discipline with the understanding of emptiness, patience with the understanding of emptiness, joy severed with the understanding of emptiness, concentration and wisdom, may I attain the state of a Buddha for the benefit of all living beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, compassion, knowledge, and strength, the Dharma, the enlightened side of truth, and the Sangha, the community of realized beings. From the virtuous merit I create from the practice of giving with the understanding of emptiness, moral discipline with the understanding of emptiness, patience with the understanding of emptiness, joy separate with the understanding of emptiness, concentration and wisdom, may I attain the state of a Buddha for the benefit of all living beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, compassion, knowledge, and strength, the Dharma, the enlightened side of truth, and the Sangha, the community of realized beings. From the virtuous merit I create from the practice of giving with the understanding of emptiness, moral discipline with the understanding of emptiness, patience with the understanding of emptiness, joy separate with the understanding of emptiness, concentration, wisdom, I will attain the state of a Buddha for the benefit of all living beings. Okay, for those of you that just joined us, I'm using three external monitors in my laptop. So this is going to may be a little confusing for everybody, but I'm going to try and make it work. It's really pretty cool. Okay, so I'm sharing, am I sharing screen now? I don't think I am. Sharing screen. There we go. Okay, you should see a light blue screen now, right? Okay. Okay, well, we get to stare at that for a little bit. Let's go through our rejoicing. And I wanted to say again how just really impressed I was with the grateful for list that we talked about. That was really extraordinary. Let me do something here with my screens. There we go. I can't tell you, and I shared most of it with my lovely wife, and she thought it was just absolutely stunning. So thank you. That's a highlight of my teaching career. I really was impressed with that. Okay, so much for that. Now I think all the screens you see me reasonably straightforward. Okay, so let's do some rejoicing. Who's going to be first? Svetlana, you're up first on my screen.
Hey. I would like to rejoice that today after work, we, with colleagues, 4 of us went from the office all together and went to the metro station all together, talking some informal conversations. And such supportive environment, working together with joy and supportive conversations, it's a way to create seeds for supportive environment for the future, to help other people. So I dedicate this goodness that all living beings can be in a friendly community and work together in joyous efforts, supporting each other.
Well, very good. That must really be satisfying that you can do that and things are starting to work in that way for your how you're projecting the world. So wonderful. Okay, Daria.
Good morning, Venerable Sumati. I'm Rejoice. I soon go to vacation. And yesterday I cooked for my colleagues. And I think I cooked for Buddha and angels. And today, when my colleagues eat these dishes, they say, oh, it's vegetables without meat. And they say, oh, it's delicious. How you prepare this?
Oh, excellent. You're going to make them vegetarians.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Let's see who's next. Natalia, my interpreter.
Hello, Venerable Sumati. Could you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Well, I think that I rejoice for the fact that yesterday was my first year anniversary as an ACI volunteer interpreter. So yesterday and today, I rejoice intensely on this fact and about all these powerful seeds that I was planting during this year, helping to translate in different programs, and especially for ACI courses. I think this is the most powerful, very powerful seeds.
That's wonderful. That is setting such powerful seeds for you in this life and next lives. Wow. Well, I'm going to give you another round of applause. That's great. Okay. Katya, looks like you went out for a jog this morning.
Yes, I went for a jog. Well,
do runners like you consider jogging or is it running? What's the right
It's
word to use?
running. Well, I do triathlon. I also
Right.
swim and bike and
Right,
run.
but I just wondered if, when you say you go out for a jog, if that's not the right way to describe what athletes do. They go out for a run.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you have to rejoice in?
Well, my rejoice is that today I'm gonna have a meeting with ACI home office. They asked me to join with them so I can help them in the retreat that is going to be in Mexico City. So I'm very happy about that, and I'm happy that I can serve in that way.
Excellent. Well, that's setting some major seeds too. How far is Guadalajara away from Mexico City? Quite a bit?
It's like 400 kilometers, I think so.
400 kilometers.
Uh-huh.
So what is a typical car drive in kilometers?
By car is like about 5 hours.
5 hours. Wow.
Yes, and by airplane it's 1 hour.
No. So how are you going to get there?
Airplane.
Drive?
Hope so. I hope so.
Good. Okay. Let's see. Daria, yeah, we did. We did Daria. That was the vegetables. Okay. Layla, good to see you.
Hi. I was sick for the last class we had. And thank you for everyone who sent me good wishes of recovery, because I'm better. I just have a bit of a cough, but it's way, way better. Um, I'm rejoicing today because not just today, but my I was able to help my parents and my brother because they got into a fight this just a few days ago, and my brother's on the spectrum, and my parents have had trouble learning about how to help someone on the spectrum and how to raise a kid on the spectrum. I grew up in Morocco, so there weren't really many tools, and even though my dad's a psychiatrist, it wasn't it felt like something that was very inaccessible for us
Can I
in
interrupt?
helping. Oh yes, go ahead.
A spectrum, what does that mean?
Oh, he's we're not exactly sure, but he's got some kind of like Asperger's or
Oh, okay. Got it.
yeah, he wasn't ever fully diagnosed because when he was a kid, it wasn't. Even now in Morocco, it's not really a thing.
Oh, really?
So but growing up was very difficult for us to help him out when he was younger, and he's high functioning though, and so he's got a job, but he still struggles every now and then very a lot, and so the family has to come together to try to help him out. I'm the closest to him, so I've had to I naturally took on a lot since a child because we were just very close. And so they both hurt each other in this conversation they had a fight, and they both were blaming each other a bit, and but I was able to speak to my parents and my brother, and I helped soften things a bit. And thanks to I think a lot of it is also a bit thanks to my growing understanding of how things are not self-existent, of emptiness, that I was able, I think, to help them kind of feel like there's no right or wrong, that there's no villain in this story, and to try to help them. So I rejoice to be able to help those that I love, that, my family, those that I love, to suffer a bit less at the hands of their emotions, because yeah, and to maybe help them reconnect faster and not dwell in those in that not to dwell in that story that sometimes builds in your mind.
Yeah, the story, that's a very good term. Yeah, that's got to be difficult, especially since it's in and out. I mean, you would think it'd be better if it was just constantly one or the other, but with my limited knowledge of any of this kind of thing, not knowing when it's going to erupt would be difficult. Is he older, younger?
He's a year older. Yeah, he's a year older, so we've always been very, very close. He has a lot of trouble with his own emotions. He used to get into fits where he would start yelling or screaming or trying to pull his hair out or try to hurt himself because he couldn't manage with his own emotions. It's mostly when something unpredictable happens or something that surprises him or makes him feel like he doesn't have control over something.
You know, when you stop and think about it, all of us have a very similar problem. We just can control it or think we can. So it's kind of like it's not that we're above it all. We have it. We just control it. And that's somewhat that can be some, what's the word I'm looking for? That can be
Mike. Oh.
Yeah, that can be, well, there's a word I'm looking for. Oh well. Well, so
I'm just so happy to be able to use what I'm learning to try to help, because this is exactly why I'm doing this.
Good. Well, I'm glad the Dharma's, you understand the Dharma can be of assistance instead of going back to the self-existence of it all and medication and all that. So very good. Tatiana, what do you have to rejoice about?
Здравствуйте. Я рада, что выполнила свое намеченное дело. Я сдала экзамен по 4-му курсу до 31 марта. И семена соединения взошли так, что я очень быстро получила работу на проверку. И вчера я проверила уже 5 домашек и 5 контрольных. И стараюсь быстрее завершить, чтобы студент получил как можно быстрее свои результаты и сертификат.
Hello, Venerable Sumati. I'm rejoicing on the fact that I managed to finish my ACI 4 exam before the March 31st. And yesterday, my seeds of connection, when I was connecting people together, ripened so that I received the works of the other student, and I already checked 5 quizzes and 5 homeworks. And my intention is that this student could receive this final examination and as soon as possible.
Good. I'm a little confused. We're on course 4. So you've taken the final and we haven't finished the courses. Am I confused?
Лама Сумати, я начала 4-й курс в октябре, и когда я сейчас пришла, он у меня был незавершенный. И вы мне порекомендовали создать завершающую карму.
Dear Lama Sumati, I started this course ACI 4 in October, last October. So when we started this course together, so Svetlana just wanted to finish the course that she had started before to make this completing
Okay,
karma.
okay, good. Well, congratulations, and thank you for helping the other students. Okay, recording English Anna, that's what's on my screen.
Venerable Sumati, it's Daria. She wrote, hello, I have no possible to practical today. Sorry, I will just record. I have a perfect class. And I asked her what her rejoice, and she wrote, Magnolia bloomed in the botanical garden. I rejoice in the beautiful of nature.
Wow, that's very nice. I do too. Wow, my wife found some plants she's been looking for a long time that's got an orange bloom to it. And so for her birthday, we purchased some plants and we're going to plant them. So good. The magnolia, that is magnificent. Mike, listening, not being outer space. What's up, Mike? Or not.
I could talk a little bit. I'm just in a little cafe. So I rejoice. Last night I finished the Daylon class with a couple of people. We've had this like homework and study group for the past like 2 months. And we've been like debating and going over everything and quizzes and putting together like study groups and stuff. And finally last night we all took the final together. And it's complete and we finished the course. So like that's it's just been like, months in the making, and finally it's nice to see all green on that ACI form of the homework completed, quizzes completed, 10 of those, and then final submitted, and it feels good.
Excellent. And that's going to give you the completion karma for your future. So that's wonderful. And you're going to be out at Diamond Mountain pretty soon, right?
I'll be there. I'm getting in on Tuesday.
Wow. Well, we won't be down there until the 19th and the 20th, but I'm very much looking forward to meeting you. That's going to be fun.
Can't wait.
Okay, my turn, I think. What do I have to rejoice in? Well, I rejoice that I think I figured out how to use 4 monitors in a presentation on Zoom. I guess we'll see. The book, ran into some trouble with the book, but fixed it without getting mad, without getting upset. I just said, what do I need to do to fix this, and did it. And that's, I'm looking at another book. So that's all good. But what I think I wanted to share 2 aspects of my practice. Did I share with you, because I'm teaching so many classes, did I share with you the my walk with my wife? Doesn't sound like it. Okay. Well, there are 2 things. This morning, and these are small things, but these I think are, for me personally, are very important. This morning, I was making a cup of coffee, and we have this pot, kind of a hot water pot to heat the water. And I lifted it up, and it was enough to make my coffee, and I put it down. And then I thought, well, Sarani's going to have to fill that when she needs her next cup of coffee. I could fill it for her. And because I thought I could fill it for her, I've decided in the future, when I think a thought like that, I need to do that. If I'm going to help somebody, I should help somebody. So thinking I could fill the pot is wishing bodhicitta. Filling the pot is bodhicitta in the form of action. Now that seems sort of trivial, but that's the thought process I want all of you to be thinking about. When you can do something, see if there's, instead of talking yourself out of doing it, do something about it. Now this isn't true on all cases, but it's something as silly as as a potter picking up a piece of garbage, looking at a piece of garbage on the street, saying, I could pick that up, but I don't have anywhere to put it. I have to walk home with it. Well, pick it up and walk home with it. The other example, and I found this one to be quite, I don't want to say profound, that's a little strong, but we are taking a walk, and part of my job in the next several years, because I've taken on another book project, is whenever my wife pokes her head into my room and says, do you want to take a walk? Do you want to do this or that? I have to say, I have to want to say yes, and I want to do it with joy, because then she's not being the book widow that she was worried about being again. So anyway, so we're taking this walk, and I'm slow now. I don't walk as fast as I used to. And she was way ahead of me, easily 50, 60 meters ahead of me. And my first thought was, well, this is nice. I'm taking a walk by myself. What if I tripped and fell? Good thing I have my phone. She's so far in front of me. And I was starting to get agitated, not mad, but just agitated. It was her, it was her, it was her. And then it occurred to me, it's your karma for having walked fast and inconsiderately with other people in the past. It's not what my wife is doing. It's what I'm projecting my wife doing. It's my karma ripening. Instead of saying something to her, well, like, it was sure fun taking a walk by myself. That would be the implication of that being all self-existent and the problem being her, not me. So I just encourage you, when something happens, watch your mind and see it starting to formulate this self-existent wife, self-existently thinking she wants to walk at whatever speed. And it's coming from, in this case, it's coming from me. Now, it doesn't excuse it in a sense. I mean, it's my karma ripening for her being in front of me like that. And she's ripened karma, she's generated karma of disturbing me. Or maybe she's teaching me a lesson. Maybe she's a high-level angel teaching me a lesson. She's dressed in white, so that kind of gives away the clue. But so I just encourage you to, this is what I think, this is using your practice 24/7 instead of just sitting on a cushion and meditating for half an hour, which is fine. I mean, that's part of our practice, but putting it into practice in all the situations is the whole point. So, okay. So we're on class 8. And this is Dharmakirti's, Master Dharmakirti's proofs for the existence of other lives. Now, this is, he presents 10 proofs for the existence of past and future. Well, he's talking about future lives, but that implies past life. His principal proof is that the mind of an ordinary person at the moment of death will cross over to the moment of mind in rebirth, because the ordinary person suffers from self-grasping and desire at the moment of death. In this class, we'll consider the first 6 proofs of these 10, and the final 4 we'll do in class 9. So when I was rolling my truck and could have died, at the moment I could have died, when I was thinking this might be it. My first thought, and this made me some kind of wonderful human being. I'm just pleased it happened. My first thought was, oh boy, I'm about to find out what's going to be next. And if I've died and I'm in my Tushita paradise, it looks an awful lot like Diamond Mountain. Now, of course, I didn't die, but the fact that was my first thought, my only thought in my mind. I wasn't scared. I wasn't worried. I was just, well, whatever's coming next, coming next. It was very encouraging to me. So that means I'm taking the practice to heart. So here we go. Now this is the how do I want to put it? Course 4 and course 13 are the logic courses. They're the hardest ones that I teach, and they're also, in my humble opinion, kind of boring. So here we go. So the anatomy of a logical proof. We have to understand that there are three what are called syllogisms for a logical proof. The subject matter, the assertion to be proved, and the reason establishing the assertion. So this is true for all the logic, debate and stuff they have in the debate ground. You have the subject matter, the assertion to be proved, and the reason establishing the assertion. So for proof to be valid, the three relationships have to be present. Reason has to be a quality of the subject. Does three connect to one? And we're going to be going through examples. The reason is in the characteristic, that should be and, the characteristic it proves must be sound. If 3 is true, then 2 is valid. Characteristic to be proven and its reason must be such that if you negate the characteristic to be proven and you negate the reason, the relationship is still true. So here's an example, kind of trivial. Subject, consider the sun. Characteristic to be proven, the sun is not blue. Reason, because it is yellow. So does 3 follow 1? Yes. Consider the sun, it's yellow. So okay, so far so good. If 3 is true, 2 must be true. So if 3 is true, it's yellow, 2 must be true. The sun is not blue. Well, if something's yellow, it can't be blue. If you negate 2, 3 is also negated. If the sun is not blue, so two negatives make a positive. So basically, the sun is blue, then it is not yellow. Well, that's true too. So this is a logical proof. Trivial one, but it's a logical proof. So the first one, and don't forget, we're trying to prove the existence of past and future lives. So proof number 1. Consider these 3 characteristics of a newly born child. They are breathing, they have clarity of sense powers, and they have the feeling of anxiety. Number 2, they are the assertion. They are not something that is not dependent on something of their own or similar type, which has come before. They are not something that is not dependent upon something of their own or similar type that has come before. Because the infant is now possessed of these 3 characteristics. Now, this is a little confusing, so let's discuss a little bit more. When you accept that these 3 things come from something of the same type which occurred previously, then it follows that their actual existence now in this infant has come from breathing in and out, the sense powers, and the moments of consciousness. So, now I'm missing something here. Oh, here we go. So 3 then 1. Consider these 3 characteristics of a newly born child. They have these 3 characteristics because the infant is now possessed of these 3 characteristics. So we're saying consider these 3 characteristics and the child has them. So 3 and 1, the 3 then 1 criteria is satisfied. 3 then 2. Because the infant is now possessed of these three characteristics, they're not something which is not dependent upon something of their own or similar type, which has come before. Basically saying they have these three characteristics because they got them from a previous life. Not three, then not two. If they weren't something that could come from a similar type, then the infant would not possess them. So this one's not particularly clear to me, but let's move on. Proof number 2. Consider these three characteristics of a newly born child. They are breathing, they have clarity of sense powers, and they are feeling anxiety. They not only come from the body with its four elements alone, because they have come from something of their own or similar type that came before. That is, the four elements cannot be the material cause for these three characteristics because the material cause has to be a similar type of substance to the result that it comes into. The physical elements cannot turn into mind, even though they must be present when a child is conceived. These three things could not come from any one or combination of the elements. If beings take birth only through the elements, without having to depend on earlier instance of a similar type, then how could you account for the great diversity of physical and mental characteristics of people? How could you account for their varying sizes and shapes, intellectual capabilities, etc.? The four elements. The first chapter of Abhidharmakosha explains the four elements. They are metaphors for the energy underlying all animate and inanimate physical matter. All matter has varying degrees of these elements. The earth element is the energy creating the hardness of, let's say, a wall. It's not the hardness itself, but the energy that creates it. Fire is hot and burning. Water, the next element, is wet and flowing. And air is light and moving. So none of those characteristics can in itself be what they're part of the person, but they're not where the person comes from. So proof number, well, 3 then 1. Consider the three characteristics. They not only come from the body with its four elements alone. So that because they come from something of their own or similar type that came before. So that's satisfied. 3 then 2. They not only come from the body with its four elements, because they come from something of their own or similar type that came before. Not 3, then not 2. They come from the body because they've come from not something. They don't come from the four elements because they come from something similar. So proof 3. Consider the three characteristics of a newly born child. They could not have come from the elements alone because every one of the elements would have to turn into a living being, and that would be absurd. 3 then 1. Consider the three characteristics. Number 2, 3 then 2. They'd not come from the elements alone, because if they did, all the elements would turn into a living being, and that obviously does not make sense. Consider the mind. It's not something which does not cross a line into a new life, because the mind is able to continue itself moment to moment without requiring any additional cause. This is, during our lifetime, we observe that our mind continues moment to moment without interruption, without an extra cause required to make that happen. One could argue that the mind nonetheless does not necessarily continue to another moment after death. However, what evidence do we have the last moment of mind in this life does not have the ability to continue itself after death of the body, when every other moment of mind in this life continues to the next moment of mind? That's very important. We think if we learn something in high school, we learn to speak a language, and that moment of mind continues to follow us through our life. So the moment of mind is making the moment of mind is making the moment of mind in this life. Why would we think that doesn't happen after death? That mind isn't continued in that manner after death. The nature of mind does not suddenly change at the last moment of this life and stop continuing itself. It does therefore continue itself at the moment of death or cross into a new life. So we really have to grasp that. I think that's the primary example for me, proof to me. If we agree that we're getting moment of mind and moment of mind in a stream, why would that stop at death? Whoops. I didn't proofread this as well as I thought. Consider the elements, they're the material cause of the three characteristics, because otherwise there would never be any elements from where they could never grow for those beings who come from heat and moisture. That slide's a mess. If this one was true, all the elements should change into a living being in the same way that one element is alleged to change into a living being, because there exists no difference between the elements. However, only one mind seems to come from the mixture of elements. Why is it that if you add 20 times the quantity of ingredients, there are not 20 minds created? There is no correlation between the quantity of the elements and the alleged result. So, what is this trying to prove to us? We're trying to establish the fact that there's a future life. The main one for me is what's the cause of the future life? It's not coming from the elements, because if it came from the elements, if it came from iron, we'd all have to look like iron, which we don't. But if we understand the continuation of the mind based on our knowledge that it continues throughout the day, the month, the year of our life, then that's fairly easy for me to think that if it does that in life, why would it not continue between lives? So let's go look at the homework for this class and make sure that we've discussed what is necessary. That's something I haven't been doing probably properly for this course. And I'll try and, well, I've only 1 or 2 classes left. So the first homework question is, what is the basic principle underlying Master Dharmakirti's arguments in favor of past and future lives? The very cornerstone of Master Dharmakirti's argument is that the result of a material cause must resemble that cause and come after it. That is, the mind of a newborn child at the moment of conception must come from another state of mind which occurred in the moment before. So mind doesn't come from elements. Mind comes from a moment of mind before. And the reason for that is the material cause for mind and the result have to resemble each other. The material cause, if the material cause of mind was the element iron, then my mind would have to resemble iron, and it doesn't. If the material cause was one of the 4 elements, my mind would have to resemble one of the 4 elements, and it doesn't. So the material cause for my mind has to be a moment of mind before, which means it had to come from a past life. And if we're thinking about the past life going forward, then the opposite of that, or the natural opposite of that, is if I have a mind now, when I'm reborn, the moment of mind will continue and I'll be reborn. So we have to, that's one of the cornerstones of Buddhism, is if we may not understand it, we believe in past and future lives. So the concept of beginningless life and endless life is, I can't wrap my mind around it, because I keep thinking, what happened before? What happened before? But that doesn't mean I don't believe in past and future lives. It just means that's one of those mysterious things that I'm going to have to try and understand, which I probably will only understand when I've seen emptiness directly. There were 10, I don't know if you've heard this, I need to write this down. I keep promising to do stuff and forgetting to do it. There are 10 questions that Lord Buddha refused to answer. And I have a copy of those 10 questions, and I'm going to share those with you next class. 10 questions Buddha did not answer. Now I've got to figure out where to put this so I won't forget. Come on. There we go. Okay. So out of all this, the bottom line remains that the moment of mind before creates the moment of mind now, and is the material cause for the next moment of mind. What are the 3 characteristics that must involve a previous life? Functioning sensory powers, breathing, and a functioning mind. Name the 4 building blocks of physical matter and describe their functions. The element of earth, that's the energy behind solidity and hardness. The element of water, the energy behind wetness and flowing. The energy of fire, the energy between heat and burning. And the element of air, the energy between lightness and moving. Now, perfect health would be the balance of all 4 of these. That's very rare. So illness means that one of the 4 or a combination of the 4 is having a greater influence than the others. And that's what Chinese medicine is all about. They detect, as I understand it, they diagnose an excess of wetness or heat or lightness and moving, and that's what they need to rebalance through acupuncture and movement of energies. Whereas Western medicine says it's a drug that needs to take care of this seemingly self-existent symptom. Okay. Give 3 reasons why the 3 characteristics don't come from elements. Anytime you combine the elements or had an element alone, mind would arise. Well, that's not true, because I can have a pile of iron filings on my desk, and that doesn't mean it has a mind. Mind is living in elements or rocks, chemicals, etc., not living things. The 3 characteristics must come earlier of a similar type. So the 3 characteristics we mentioned: breathing, sensory powers, and a functioning mind. They must come from something earlier of a similar type. So that means they have to have come from a previous life that had those characteristics. So like I said, this is confusing. It's confusing to me, but that's pretty much the logic. Course 13 goes into the logic much more deeply, and it does explain why we need the use of logic and debate to prove to it's not that we're trying to prove to others what we know. We're trying to prove to ourselves that all of this makes sense. So hang in there with the logic, and we'll have plenty of courses between now and then to get more of the definitions and ideas straight. Oh, yes. I'm sorry, Leah. I didn't see your hand. Go ahead.
Oh, all good. I just raised it this second. My question is about how, for Buddhism, how rebirth is perceived, because I've had these conversations with other people, and I'm not very clear on it. When in Buddhism, is rebirth a full rebirth in the sense of everything that is considered your essence gets reborn, or do we, if we imagine us, for instance, taking on a form like a wave in the ocean, or do we go back into the ocean, like into a larger pool, and then kind of mix, and then parts of us get reborn in different ways, but not exactly as that same, you know what I'm asking? It's a hard question to ask.
That's a tough question. Let me get out of the slideshow. Well, let's think about that. Let me stop the screen share. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was Thich Nhat Hanh that was using the wave, and I mean, I think he might have not been the first one, but the wave and ocean metaphor of we take on a form, but then we are from kind of the same ocean.
Yeah. Well,
And
okay, so that brings up the concept of the mind stream. And what is the mind stream? How can we think of the mind stream? Well, that's weird. There are my light energies. I'm revealing myself. I have light energy coming out of my body. Well, anyway, I'm being silly. Okay, mind stream. So if what you're asking is it a part of the mind stream that is now Sumati? I've got countless lives worth of mind stream. So how has that come to me to being Sumati now and not being the female version of me, which there must have been at some time? I don't know what governs what actually ripens in a particular life. I've never seen that addressed. I don't even know how to look that up in the Abhidhamma Kosha. I'll ask the oracle. My lovely wife will undoubtedly. She always has an opinion. Now, that's a good thing. It sounds like I'm saying that's not a good thing, but she rarely looks at me and goes, I don't know. But she's more learned in this than I am, or at least more willing to talk about it. So let's investigate it. If everything ripened, then I'd have to be, maybe that's what causes mental illness. Maybe what causes mental illness is the ripening of an overwhelming amount of karma. That's an interesting thought. Do you see what I'm saying? Maybe the human ripening as a human, your mental capacity is much greater than a rock. Well, it doesn't have any mental capacity, or an ant. But maybe when we have too much karma ripen, too many lives worth of karma ripening. That's what causes mental illness, because the human brain is not able to handle all that. But is that saying that self-existent? You know, I don't. So this life ripened for me being a scientist and a writer of books on nuclear weapons. But I must have infinite other things that could have ripened. So karma is part of what's driving it. Well, it is what's driving it. But how do those karmas, how does a particular karma for me to be human and 6'3" and 200 pounds versus what do you think? That's my wife's standard answer. When any student asks her a question, or I ask her a question, she goes, well, what do you think? I'm asking you. So what do you think?
My mother seems to think that maybe there's still maybe like an essence or something that even, but I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, that's the thing. This is not a simple subject. I don't mean to be funny or kidding you.
Yeah. No, I know. Some people, I think, I don't know, we'd have to investigate it, but some people do have recollections, very vivid recollections of their past lives.
Sure.
So is it that they kind of accidentally somehow managed to bring in more of that kind of life into their next, or
I see your point. It's like there's a nugget of my mind stream that's Sumati, and that nugget ripened this life as Sumati. Those components ripened as Sumati. Now, if I have the karma to have other components ripen too, then it's like I left the previous life, not all of it. I took some of it with me. It was this new ripening. So out of this entire mind stream going along, what drops down? I look at the mind stream going like this, and then this life, it dropped down, I'm Sumati. Then I die and I go back into the mind stream, and it ripens again, and I come out as somebody else or a Buddha or something. But that implies a certain degree of self-existence. And I like how my finger goes in and out of that's pretty weird.
kind of like your mind stream.
Yeah. So I'll look into that, Layla, and I'll see if I can figure something out.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And even thinking about it as a mind stream, it feels seems a little not, maybe a little too much to think that it would carry on just as it was, into it
So
feels like
constantly changing.
yes.
And so
And then
yeah. Well, I'll try and come up with an answer for you, or at least think about it. Anybody out there have any idea? Mike, your picture on your screen shows that you have a mind stream that's very colorful.
Oh, it's colorful. When you were saying about mental illness being an over ripening of karma, I was like, that sounds about right.
Well, I think that the human mind, the mind stream in the form of a human, has a finite capacity. And I think and this is going out on a limb, but when you use drugs, psychedelic drugs, let's say, or mind bending drugs, I think you tap into other parts of that mind stream that our mind can't can't express, if that makes any sense. I've never done any drugs, so I don't know. I can't say, wow, that's what being on drugs is like. I am happy to say, and this is maybe prideful, but I'll say it anyway. I have never done any drug. I've gotten drunk. I was a happy drunk. I will admit to that. So I've done that drug. I've done alcohol, but I've never done any other form of recreational drug, just because I'm pretty happy with who and what I am. I don't need anything to alter that. But I don't know many people that can say that in my group of friends. I wasn't friends with a bunch of drug addicts, but most of them smoked marijuana, or many of them done LSD, which okay, bye, Katya. Okay, well, I'm wandering now. So next class, we'll finish off the 4 final proofs and wrap it up in course 10, and then we'll have our review course. So this has been a difficult course, and I appreciate that I'm not teaching it with the clarity that I've done some of the other courses, but between now and 13, course 13, I think we can get back on a track that will interest everybody a little bit more. This is very potent material that we have to study, and I'll try and make it work better in course 13. So, okay, we'll see everybody. I'll look up the 10 things that Lord Buddha said he couldn't answer, and I will see you all on, what's today, Thursday? I'll see you all on Monday, right? Yeah, Monday. Okay. Take care, everybody. Oh, dedication. Hang on, dedication. By the goodness of what I've just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the 2 ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. Okay. Bye-bye. Layla, are you still there?